the surveillance tape inside the diplomatic terminal and pulled some clip. They're, of course, getting all their little bots online to promote it, of me with my arm around somebody to show that actually I'm lying about what happened.
We have to hit on this very important part of Tucker Carlson's interview with U.S. Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee. This is precisely why the U.S. Ambassador to Israel cannot be a Christian Zionist. We are compromised, you guys. There is no question about it, because it leads not just to statements, but real political maneuvering. This has real life global political consequences that I'm about to show you. Tucker also responded to the video that the Israeli government put out proving that he was a liar. And I talked about this last week. You guys know this, for claiming that his team was detained and interrogated by Israeli officials. I want to remind you, this is the video that was put out. Eyal Yacobi put this out on X, and it states, this is VIP security. He signs the document, smiles, hugs the airport security, smiles for a photo, cracks a few jokes, leaves within 5 seconds. Tucker Carlson is a total fraud, that says. We are going to begin with Tucker's response and the truth about what really happened. I'm Zach Costello.
The Israelis apparently went, probably with the help of Mike Huckabee, went to the surveillance tape inside the diplomatic terminal and pulled some clip. They're, of course, getting all their little bots online to promote it, of me with my arm around somebody to show that actually I'm lying about what happened. That person was our driver who drove us from the plane to the terminal, a short drive. Very nice guy, good guy, Israeli guy. And right when we arrived, and he said, could I get a picture? Of course. He's a nice man. So I just put my arm around him, took a picture. That's what that is. That was before the interview. It was before our producers were hassled by the thugs and asked ridiculous questions. It was before any of this happened. So that's just another installment of the propaganda war. Thought we'd give you the backstory on that.
So is Eyal Yacobi going to issue a retraction on this blatant piece of Israeli propaganda that he decided to put out? At least he should disclose that he's on the payroll. What this means, as it turns out, is that Israel dropped a fake video to make Tucker Carlson look like a liar. So they'll manipulate videos to create narratives about things. Noted. Some of us are suspicious they did that elsewhere. It also wasn't just the Israeli influencer who put this out. You had the entire Zionist lobby pushing this on everyone. The truth of the matter is after the interview, Mike Huckabee, Israel, wanted to flex its muscles on Tucker. That is what this all comes down to. And ultimately, why? Why? It's for being an opponent of Zionism. That is the fact. Tucker Carlson is the most prominent anti-Zionist figure in America. And they wanted to let him know, hey, we're watching you. During his interview with Mike Huckabee, I thought Tucker did a good job of getting Huckabee to admit the political implication of what being a Zionist actually means. This was an incredibly important and most revealing part of their conversation, and why no Zionist should hold the position of the U.S. ambassador to Israel. Listen to this exchange.
To Genesis. Genesis 15 says it's Abram, it's pre-Abraham, it's Abram, receives from God the news that his descendants will inherit the land. And you tell me as the theologian if I'm getting this wrong, but from the Euphrates to the Nile. I think that's right. And that would include basically the entire Middle East. That would be the Levant. So that would be Israel, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon. It would also be big parts of Saudi Arabia and Iraq. It would be,
I'm not sure it would go that far. It would be a big piece of land, but here's the point.
It would be a lot of places that are now countries.
But this particular area that we're talking about now, Israel, is a land that God gave through Abraham to a people that he chose. It was a people, a place, and a purpose. We can look at it that way. Christian Zionism. I want to go back because that's where we started.
I'm not going to let you off on this because you have
Go
said
ahead.
it 3 times that God gave this land to this people. And so it is entirely fair for me with respect to ask, what land are you talking about? Because I just read Genesis 15, as I have many times. And that land, I think it says, from the Nile to the Euphrates, which is, once again, basically the entire Middle East. So God gave that land to his people, the Jews, or he didn't. You're saying he did. What does that mean? Does Israel have the right to that land? Because you're appealing to Genesis. You're saying that's the original deed.
It would be fine if they took it all. But I don't think that's what we're talking about here today.
What would be fine? Well, it's exactly what we're talking about today.
But here's what I don't think
you think it would be fine if the state of Israel took over all of Jordan?
They don't want to take it over.
Okay. So do you understand the problem with the Zionism now? It's not just Israel has the right to exist. This is what they keep trying to say. Mike Huckabee even tried to state this as the definition. But this reveals the true meaning of it right here. It is that Israel has a divine right to the land, and this justifies a Jewish supremacy and imperialism. Tucker is 100% correct as to the land promise in Genesis. And Huckabee's answer is that they don't want to. It's okay because they don't want to. But that isn't the point. The point is, it would be justified if they did. And Christians reject this outright. That is very important for you guys to understand. To reject this, though, and this is where things get real for us as Christians of Orthodox traditions who do not believe in Zionism, which is the belief, like I just said, that the current state of Israel is the biblical Israel and that they have a divine right to this promised land. This is anti-Semitism according to the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, who will monitor, track, disrupt, and report you to the FBI, because what it really means is this. Listen.
Anti-Semitism, right? It comes from Europe, comes from Austria, the late 1800s. The term was coined to say, I am not anti-Jewish. I'm an anti-Semite, because the Semitic people are a different race. So I'm opposed to that race. And that's a science-based view, not a personal belief, as if it was grounded in some empirical truth. And of course, that culminated in the Shoah, and all these pseudoscience were exposed as frauds. And so you had an anti-faith-based hatred of Jews. You had an anti-race-based hatred of Jews. And today, you have anti-Zionism, which is sort of a political hate of Jews. Well, I don't hate Jews for their faith or their race. I hate them for their state. And the same tropes, like blood libel. So, there was a time they said Jews killed Christian babies to make their matzah, which is absurd.
Right, but it really is repeating itself, that sort of trope. And you really see it, and it's so blatant and clear.
It's blatant. It's clear. Again, you can see it. You can connect the dots and see how this traces through history. So this notion that the Jews want to kill Palestinian babies is bananas. It's a kind of blood libel. But unfortunately, in the world of social media, these things get a kind of currency they wouldn't ordinarily. And we're dealing with the repercussions of that now.
So according to, and that's the CEO of the ADL, his name is Jonathan Greenblatt. He says that when you are anti-Zionist, what you really mean is that you hate Jewish people because of their state. And again, that is the CEO, Jonathan Greenblatt of the ADL, who, remember, has over 40 full-time employees monitoring, tracking, and reporting to the FBI what they deem as anti-Semitism, which is anti-Zionism, as you just heard. Not only that, the ADL sends cases out to networks of thousands of lawyers. They find what they come across through their monitoring activities, and the things that they find, they send out to a large network of lawyers to see if they'll take up the cases and wage lawfare against anyone that they deem anti-Semitic. They are also leading the charge lobbying the repeal of Section 230, which protects social media companies as the town square. If they succeed, and to note, Lindsey Graham has a bill in right now called the Sunset Section 230 Act, which repeals Section 230. Social media companies would then be opened up to potential lawsuits for allowing anti-Semitism on their platforms, anti-Zionism. You guys, do you see where this is going? It's censorship, it's lawfare, and it's crackdown by the federal government.